the Opepco Studios in Oklahoma City, you are watching Thunder Cover. Thunder Cover is driven by Byford Buick GMC. Nobody treats you better than Byford. I'm Jenny Carlson here with Barry Trammell. And Barry, we've got to talk about what happened Sunday afternoon in LA. The elbow heard round the world, if you will. Ron Artest elbowing James Harden. I'm not going to call him Metta World Peace, by the way, anymore. He doesn't deserve that name after what he did on Sunday.
How about Metta World Chaos?
Yeah, there you go. I'm more likely to do that. What should happen to him? What should the NBA do with Ron Artest?
Well, he's going to get a significant suspension. Now the question becomes, what is significant? Is it 3 games, which is, in the course of a regular NBA, it's a pretty good suspension. But a guy like Ron Artest, a lot of track record with this guy, repeat offender. I think that David Stern's going to come down pretty hard on him.
Yeah, and you look at some of the past suspensions on some of these guys, and really, unless a guy hauls off and hits an opposing player or an opposing coach, more than a couple games is pretty rare. This wasn't obviously a punch, but it was an elbow with some intent, Barry. I don't think there's any doubt that what he did was intentional, because if it was unintentional, don't you at least turn around and look and say, oh my gosh, I hit a guy. He didn't even make a move back towards James Harden.
No, maybe it wasn't premeditated, but it was definitely intentional. And here's the thing. I think that what we've seen with Ron Artest's history, with what he's done, that I think David Stern's going to sit down with him and say, what do you want me to do? We keep meeting like this, and it's got to end. So I would be surprised at anything under 10 games.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's fairly significant considering all but one's going to be the playoffs, at least as long as the Lakers last. So I think he's going to be a pretty significant. And here's the other thing. In this culture that we now see in sports, a concussion is a bigger deal. 15 years ago, concussion, nobody gets worked up. But a guy lays on the floor with a concussion, doesn't come back, that's red flares to everyone. I think Ron Artest, Metta World Chaos, is headed for some serious penalty.
Yeah, and that concussion you talk about, the NBA has a recently developed policy on concussions. Obviously, we know there's been a lot of talk in the NFL about concussions, but the NBA is not without its own concussion issues. We've seen some this year even in the NBA. Just because it's not a tackle sport doesn't mean it's not a contact sport. Now, this was obviously not in the course of a normal basketball play where you see a guy go up for maybe a rebound and come crashing to the floor or something like that. That sort of thing will happen too. This was a situation where you have a guy now who's suffering with a concussion. Barry, I think it's going to be significant as well. I don't know if they've ever done anything like this, but I would suspend Artest for the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. It doesn't have a set number of games, but you might have a Thunder Lakers second round playoff series. Suspend him for the first and second round. Make it so that if these 2 teams meet, Artest isn't there. I think that would be pretty significant too. I've heard indefinite. That seems like that just seems too broad to me.
Yeah, no, I think that's a possibility, and the fact that the Thunder and the Lakers are at least on the same side of the bracket, it appears, certainly adds to the intrigue of this penalty. So David Stern, this is one of the things, he gets paid big money for a lot of different things. Franchise relocation, handing out penalties, labor negotiations. Those are the big things on his docket. And this is a big thing because of Ron Artest's past. And the league is going to be looking at this situation saying, all right, David Stern, what are you going to do?
Definitely. And be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman. And remember, Thunder Cover is driven by Byford Buick GMC. Nobody treats you better than Byford.